Hello and welcome to Transforming Radiology Reporting, AI-driven automation with cloud-based RIS PACS integration, and ImagingWire webinar in partnership with RamSoft. My name is Brian Casey. I'm managing editor of the ImagingWire. Got a great program for you today. We're going to start with a panel discussion on new technologies for radiology reporting, and then we'll open it up for questions from our audience in the second half of the webinar. Our webinar speakers are Dr. Jonathan Luchs, Chief Medical Officer at teleradiology company Premier Radiology Services, Vijay Ramanathan, CEO and co-founder of RamSoft, and Dr. Avez Rizvi, founder and CEO of RADPAIR, and a practicing teleradiologist reading for Premier Radiology Services. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
So let's get started. Dr. Luchs, you're the Chief Medical Officer for Premier, which is an organization with 120 radiologists who read over 10,000 studies a day. What are some of the challenges that you see right now with radiology reporting?
Well, with radiology reporting, probably the biggest challenge is what we started dealing with when we went to voice recognition. We went from transcriptionists where they were able to just take what we said. We could just talk to them on a tape. It was really easy. It was quick. We spent all of our time looking at the images and really spent our time being radiologists, which was what we love to do. And the changeover to voice recognition was interesting. It was nice. I'm old enough to say that I was there when it happened. And in the beginning, it was horrible. It's definitely gotten better, but the challenge is still there that when we look at images, we also have to concentrate on the report, which was not really what we're trained for. It's not what we're as good at. We're radiologists. We're phenomenal at anatomy and finding pathology, but most of us aren't transcriptionists. And that's really what we're finding ourselves doing 50% of the time. It's challenging to get radiologists to want to deal with platforms that you're basically typing stuff, or you're going back and you have to start looking at your report not over and over again. Some people have transcriptionists still that might listen to their report, but it still doesn't matter. There's going to be a lag time. The turnaround time is going to go down if you have transcriptions like that. So between just the voice recognition aspect being that we're transcriptionists again, and just the overall problem that we're having in radiology now with burnout, with the shortage of radiologists, difficult hiring, the burnout's a big deal too, because not only the burnout of the fact that we're reading more and more cases, but when you're spending so much time trying to look at your report, change your report, edit your report, looking to see, did I say left, right? Did I put a period there? Did I put a comma there? It's exhausting. It really is exhausting. I think if we're able to eliminate a large portion of that and really focus on what we're doing as radiologists, by the end of the day, we would have read more studies, we'd have less exhaustion and hence less burnout. So that's kind of what we're dealing with, trying to get our rads to read.
What impact do a lot of these challenges have on radiologist workflow?
A lot. And again, it's between burnout and just between, wanting to do more studies. It will slow you down. When you have to go back and start looking at your report, which all of us have to now, look at your report, read through your report in detail. Number one, you're going to try to make shorter reports and less detail, which is really not good for the patient. Number two, you're going to slow down and you're going to read less studies per day. And three, you're going to get tighter by the end of the day. So if you weren't doing that, you could read more because you're less tired. So, by the end of the day, we're having to take breaks. The big thing is turnaround time and getting the patient studies done so the proper care can be given. And reading less per day for the same radiologist will affect the patient.
So Vijay, you've been running a cloud-based RIS PACS company for 30 years. How do you think cloud technology, automation, PACS can work together to maximize value and time saving for radiologists from a reporting perspective?
Brian, we're super excited to be able to deliver solutions that can help the productivity of radiologists and deal with the shortage, deal with the increasing volumes, and help get better reports to the ordering physicians. Back when we started, teleradiology was about getting a quick opinion on an emergency CT scan and getting the results to the emergency room physician as quickly as possible, right? And so we've come a long way from the early systems. I mean, we were one of the first in the 2000s to deliver a web-based teleradiology software to radiologists. We adopted cloud-based solutions as soon as they matured, 10 years ago, right? And I see this as the next evolution of teleradiology in radiology report, right? And this is where, we've got all of the benefits of having a transcriptionist, where the transcriptionist historically would help the radiologist create the report, right? And so we're able to bring all those benefits married up with a cloud-based solution to handle single sign-on, single work list, automated workflows, and, really provide that environment where you've got a single solution that brings everything needed to the radiologist's desktop, right? So this means images, reports, currents, priors, documents, symptoms, history, all married up with the AI reporting solution, right? So this is really what helps with productivity. It is getting everything in one place on a single desktop to the radiologist. And, the benefit of cloud, on the security side is tremendous, but it's really the unlimited storage, the ability to take on new clients, right? With a cloud-based solution, you can add a new imaging center, a new hospital, bring images, you can bring on priors, and you really don't have the constraints of hardware, of storage, of network limitations. And with the technology infrastructure that we have in place today, we can get images to a radiologist anywhere, right? You're no longer limited to, you only have enough bandwidth if you're located in an urban area. All that is now out the window, right? You can be located anywhere, and we can get the images to you. We can automate the clinical workflows, and we can get the results that you produce to the referring practice.
Great. There's so many benefits to the cloud when it comes to medical image management. Now, Dr. Rizvi, you are the founder of RADPAIR, and we're going to talk a little bit more about RADPAIR in a minute, but you're also a practicing radiologist. So can you share your perspective on how AI-based reporting can be part of a solution to all these challenges that we're hearing about today with radiology reporting?
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. So, I started RADPAIR for radiologists. That was the entire purpose, because just like Dr. Luchs and Vijay have mentioned, there's this back and forth that happens when you're reading cases. It contributes to significant burnout because you're looking at the images while at the same time you're trying to formulate the words that are coming out of your mouth to essentially respond to this very voice-driven dictation system. And you're saying all the grammar, so you're saying period and new line and all those other things. You're also having to click most of the time into form fields if you're doing a structured report. And so as your mind is kind of split between these two things, like Dr. Luchs has mentioned, you do that, let's say, thousands of times a day over, let's say, 100 cases or more a day, and you do it for 8 to 10 hours a day. That's why you feel that burnout at the end of the day. And so when I was thinking about how do we stop this back and forth? How do we stop this context switching? Generative AI made a whole lot of sense, because the way I thought about it is a very intelligent resident or a scribe, someone who's just listening to you and in real time can turn around those reports and can create them. Similar to what Dr. Luchs described about a transcriptionist, but can we bring that to the forefront with AI and do it very quickly? And so that was sort of the genesis for this reporting system.
It sounds like a great idea. So, Dr. Rizvi, I understand that you've got a short video of what's possible today with AI-based reporting that's integrated with cloud-based PACS. So, can you cue that up for us?
Yeah, sure. Hey, everyone. I'm going to go over our integration with RADPAIR and RamSoft's Power Server. As you can see on the left-hand side, we have a case open in the imaging window, a chest X-ray, and on the right-hand side of Power Server, we have this seamless integration of RADPAIR. So just to point out a few things, clinical history is already passed into the report, and this includes stuff like clinical history and the views for this case, which is just a chest X-ray. However, the key point here is it's not just a mapping that we are doing here one-to-one. there's an AI layer here too to ensure that the information that's being sent over is actually relevant for two things. One, for reporting as the radiologist, but also for billing purposes. So it's not just a one-to-one mapping. There's another AI layer there. So with that, I'm just going to quickly go ahead and dictate this case. Okay, so there are prominent bilateral interstitial markings compatible with congestive changes, and there's a small left pleural effusion versus basilar atelectasis. Right-sided IJ catheters present within the SVC. Endotracheal tube is 3.9 centimeters above the carina, and a feeding tube is present overlying the stomach in appropriate position. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and process this report. Now, keep in mind, I didn't dictate this and click into fields or say new line or period or any of that grammar stuff. And the report's already back. It only takes a couple of seconds. And you could see everything that I said is in the appropriate position under each section that it's supposed to be in, and has created a nice impression for you. At this point, you could pretty much sign the case and go on to the next case. That is the power of full generative AI reporting. You just talk to it. It does the work for you. You sign the case and move on to the next one. Improves your efficiency, improves quality, and we're so happy to be partnered with RamSoft's Power Server on this. It's been an incredible journey, and I hope you enjoy it as well. Thanks. Hey guys, we're going to go over PAIR Insights, which is our Radiopedia integration that allows radiologists to speak naturally, and the guidelines and classifications are automatically inserted. It actually uses AI to go through Radiopedia's knowledge base and bring back the appropriate classification or guideline. So if you look on the screen right now on the left-hand side, there's a pulmonary nodule case, and in RADPAIR is seamlessly integrated into RamSoft's Power Server. We're going to quickly dictate this case and show you what it means. There's a 1 centimeter pulmonary nodule noted within the right lower lobe. Insert the guideline. So I'll pause there and let you know what's going on. So PAIR Insights is actually going to Radiopedia, finding the appropriate guideline, and bringing it back. Now, if this was a case that you were reading, obviously you wouldn't stop there. You would continue reading the case, but I've paused here just to show you what's going on. When it comes back, usually takes about 10 to 20 seconds to do, it will put in the appropriate guideline. So in this case, it's using Fleishner Society and has put in the appropriate guideline. Now, if you wanted to check this further, you could actually read the rationale associated with this and look for what's the reason why it picked it. You could even go a step further and actually go to the actual reference article for Radiopedia. And then once you're done, you can accept this and it becomes part of your transcript. And then once you process this, what's going to happen is it's going to end up being part of your report. So in a few seconds here, the CT will come back. It'll be under the lung section. It's already back. It's already highlighted everything it's done. And obviously this is the only thing we said. We didn't say anything else. And so there's a nice impression for you at the end as well. So that, in a nutshell, is PAIR Insights, powered by Radiopedia, fully integrated into RADPAIR, into RamSoft's Power Server. Thank you very much.
All right, that was really interesting. Thanks for that, Dr. Rizvi. So Vijay, can you summarize the benefits of this integration that we're hearing about between AI-based reporting and cloud-based PACS?
Sure. Thanks, Brian. It's really the ease of integration by embedding the AI report generation solution into the PACS solution that, this is the real time saver, right? It's not, here's an AI reporting solution and then here's a PACS system. No, it's the entire solution is packaged together. Everything's built in. There's, no need to mention punctuations, period. No need to worry about the sequence of things that are dictated. The impression can be generated automatically from the report, and it really saves a lot of time by enabling the radiologist to work from anywhere with a cloud-based reporting solution. No need for dedicated hardware, for any sort of special proprietary equipment to make this happen, right? You just need the high-quality monitors, a workstation where you can run the RamSoft solution, which has the AI reporting solution from RADPAIR embedded. And the best part with a cloud-based solution is the solution continues to get better every day, right? So one example is, now PAIR Insights are available, which incorporates the most accurate and latest radiology information, such as tumor stage classifications. BI-RAD classifications. And here's the best part, right, is we are only at the very infancy of AI today, right? So if we sort of look at where is this going to go, this is only going to get better. And we're only going to be able to deliver better and better solutions for radiologists each and every month.
That's great. So Dr. Luchs, as a CMO who needs to make decisions about adopting technologies at Premier, can you share the criteria that you use to assess AI tools? How do you decide what kind of AI to implement?
Sure. So listen, everything comes down to the first most important thing, of course, is cost, which is important. But taking that aside just for a second, it's the accuracy of the AI is really exceptionally important. So when you're dealing with imaging AI, an accuracy of, let's say, 85% or so might be pretty good. But when you're dealing with a voice type of AI machine, 85% is horrible. So, when it comes to voice recognition and AI, we would really want it to be perfect. The voice recognition is so incredibly important. Exactly what Dr. Rizvi was saying. If you have perfect voice recognition, or at least if the program is putting things where it's supposed to go within the report, that's exactly what's saving you a lot of time. That's what's saving you the burnout and the exhaustion by the end of the day. So, and when that happens, now we're increasing efficiency. So can the AI increase the efficiency of the radiologist, increase throughput and turnaround time, increase the number of cases that we're doing per day with the quality that we're looking for? The other thing too is integration. Is the AI integrated into the PACS, or is it a separate type of system? When you have a one platform type system, it's much easier to load up. It's easier to train. It's easier for the operational team to understand and to use as well, not just the radiologist. So something that's integrated together really makes it much easier to get it off the platform and start working. Because there's always going to be a learning curve when you're dealing with anybody, whether it be the radiologist on our team or the operational aspect of our team. And if you can have a system that is integrated well together, an AI and a PACS that really talk to each other and are happy talking to each other, it's going to significantly decrease that learning curve. And then you'll be able to go on with it, make it work.
So would you say that's maybe the most important consideration when you're integrating AI reporting with PACS is the ease of this integration?
Yeah, exactly. Do they like talking to each other? It's really the most important thing, because sometimes programs don't like that. And although you think that you just bought this whole system and it's going to be up and running in 2 months or a month, 6 months later, you still don't have everybody on it. So yeah, that's incredibly important.
That makes sense. So, Dr. Rizvi, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about something that I've been hearing about in the field a little bit, and this is something called agentic-based AI. Can you talk about what agentic-based AI is and maybe what it might mean for radiology?
Sure. So, if we take a little bit of a step back and think about sort of the paradigm shifts we've seen in radiology over the last several decades, we went from essentially what was film-based radiology to a digital paradigm. And with that came dictation. And I feel like that's where we've been for the last several decades. And if you think about it from a radiologist perspective, what you see is pretty much the same UI and UX, right? You have a text box, you dictate into it, and then, at some point you have a report and you sign it. That's sort of been the way it's been for, like I said, a few decades. Where we're headed now is a actual assistant and co-pilot that communicates with you and does the tasks for you. So, for example, if I'm looking at a case and I'm reading that case and I'm saying, okay, so there's a small right pleural effusion, and I'm saying all these things, if the agentic AI is saying, yep, I got that, yep, I put that in the findings, and I say, okay, can you also add that to the impression, and it does it for me, and it tells me it's doing it, then I don't have to take my eyes off those images. I mean, like usually, even if I'm double checking and something's not communicating with me, I still have to look back at some point and say, did it actually go in the right place? But if something's communicating with me and I can trust it, then you don't have to do that back and forth. And the only thing we have to do is once you're finalized your diagnosis, you can look back one last time just to make sure that it did everything you said. And you can just tell it, sign the report, and it goes ahead and does it. That's the future. It's a completely different paradigm from what we were doing in the past. And we're going to be showing this at RSNA. And this is not something where it's like a gimmicky thing. This is real. It's a product. You're going to be able to use it at our, at our booth at RamSoft, and also at our booth at at RADPAIR, and you'll be able to see this. And so with that, I think there's a video.
Wingman here, ready for action.
Hey, Wingman, I need you to combine my two templates, the OB greater than 14 weeks and the ultrasound biophysical profile together. Over.
Roger that. The templates have been combined.
Please add to the findings that there's a 25% pneumothorax noted within the left lung apex, and also put that in the impression. Over.
Copy that. Finding added to the report and impression.
Okay, I think we're good to go here. Let's go ahead to sign this report. Over.
Roger that. Report signed. Over and out.
Check. Hence.
All right, cool. I can't wait to see that at RSNA. So, Dr. Rizvi, you've got a little bit of a challenge for our audience when it comes to reporting. Can you describe what that is?
Yes, so my challenge is to all the radiologists out there. I want you to turn on your speech mic, and I want you to start talking to it like I'm talking to you. Tell them about the football game. Talk about what happened with the election, maybe not. And
Like normal language.
Yes, normal language, and see what happens to that what's the output is. What you'll notice is with legacy dictation reporting systems is you're just going to get a bunch of gibberish. And the reason why is those systems are overfitted to radiology lexicon. And why that matters is the future of agentic AI-based reporting requires that the dictation, the input of that speech, be something that understands natural language, but also can switch from natural language to radiology lexicon seamlessly. And if you can't do that, then you actually can't do a lot of the work that we need to do with agentic AI. So this is where I think, what we've created at RADPAIR with Speech Engine 2.0 is going to be able to do all of those things and actually enable agentic AI to do some of these solutions. So looking forward to showing everyone at RSNA.
All right, so everybody, you can try that at home, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So before we go to questions, I'd like to give Dr. Luchs a chance for some concluding thoughts. As a reminder to our audience, you can ask questions using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and we will try to get to all your questions when we open that up in just a couple minutes. Dr. Luchs, any concluding thoughts?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. So, Dr. Rizvi said something that is really interesting. The whole agentic-based AI and that we haven't had that it's something new. It is, but the most amazing thing is, again, I'm old enough to say that I used to use a dictaphone. And when I used the dictaphone, I was talking to a person. I guess it was being taped, or I was talking to a person. I would say exactly what he just said. There's a pleural effusion, there's a pneumothorax, there's a rib fracture. Oh, there's an infiltrate in the right lower lobe. Make sure you also put that in the impression. And by the way, the last report that I just did 2 reports ago, when I spoke about that other thing, can you also put that into all of that stuff? You're talking to a person, and then going now from that point to voice recognition, which if anybody's my age, they use voice recognition, which you relied on the fact that if you learned typing in high school, it really helped you. And now then to the point where the voice recognition is better. Yes, it is, but it's disorganized. To then the agentic-based AI, well, we've just gotten a full circle. Now we're using this agentic AI as the transcriptionist that you're having a discussion with. So we're back to the point of just talking about what we see and talking about the images, talking as though we're talking to a recurring doctor even. And that's exactly how we were trained. That's why we do this. That's why we love this. It's phenomenal that we're getting to that point. And I'm so excited to start using agentic-based AI once it's out. I think it's going to dramatically change the way radiology is practiced. And it's going to get back to the point of where radiologists can be radiologists.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an exciting future. So some great concluding thoughts. We're now ready to start taking questions. So give us 1 second to get set up and we will be right back. Remember that you can use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to ask any questions, and we will be right back. And here we are. Again, you can use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We do have some questions coming in already. Dr. Rizvi, I'd like to direct this first question to you. So as a radiologist, can I use a combination of AI generative reporting and my favorite historical templates with what you showed?
Yes, 100%. So we built a system so that there are all the sort of standardized templates already built into it, but you don't have to use our standardized templates. You can definitely use yours. And there's very easy methods to add those templates. You could do it on the user level. We also have a back-end administration panel that allows administrators to go in and customize and add those templates for individual radiologists. And the way I would think about templates in this new future is sort of the guide for what to tell the AI where to place things. That's how we look at templates at this point as a definition. Your talk is good. Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Nope, that's pretty much
All right. So we have a question coming in from Trent. What if the patient is part of a lung screening program and you want lung RADS guidelines versus Fleischner? Can this product recognize the patient as a lung cancer screening patient and suggest guidelines based on the patient's history in the EMR PACS? I think Dr. Rizvi, maybe that's for you.
Yes. So the answer is yes, it can. We have all those guidelines already into the system. So whether it's lung RADs or, BI-RADs or TI-RADs, all the ACR ones are in there, and you can choose which one you want to use. And if it's a screening case, if it's mentioned it's a screening case, our AI algorithms will determine that and pick the right classification and guideline.
All right, perfect. Vijay, I'd like to direct this next question to you. What are some improvements that PACS administrators and folks in IT will gain with an embedded report generator in PowerServe?
Sure. So there's really a few things. I mean, one is as was mentioned earlier, it's a lot easier to maintain templates with AI reporting because you actually need fewer templates, right? So historically, templates were required basically to cover each and every case, right? Whereas with AI reporting, the AI is intelligent enough where you need one template for a type of study without having to get into having to make templates for each kind of normal, for example, right? Or a normal with a slight variation used to require a template or used to need a macro, right? Whereas you don't need to get near as granular because you have the sort of the intelligence of AI that is running on top of your template. So I see that as the biggest sort of aid to a PACS administrator or to the sort of the medical director of the group, just because fewer templates means it's a whole lot easier to manage, right? And I think we can probably hand this one to Dr. Luchs to comment as well, because just managing a huge number of templates, it actually becomes an ordeal.
Dr. Luchs, is that the case?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, everybody wants their own templates. They always want their own templates exactly how they want it, and it does. It can make it that much more difficult for the IT team to deal with it. And if you don't have to deal with that, or if something's already embedded, or if you're dealing with an AI that's going to wind up creating your templates for you, it's going to make it so much easier on the team.
Yeah. Dr. Luchs, can you talk a little bit about turnaround times? So you spoke about earlier about burnout and efficiency and that kind of thing. When it comes to turnaround times, which is an actual metric that radiologists are measured by, what advantages does a combined PACS and reporting solution have in terms of turnaround? Does it let you get reports out faster?
Yeah, it's when something is embedded and they're actually, as I was saying before, they talk to each other and they're happy talking to each other, two programs. It makes it much easier for the radiologist. And if things are loading up quicker, if the system loads up immediately and you don't have to wait for another program to open up or at least start up after you click something, it's going to affect your turnaround time. And your turnaround time shouldn't be affected by what the computers are doing. It should be affected by you as the radiologist and how long your report's going to be and how long it takes you to read it. So having two systems embedded together that actually deal with each other very well really does help for turnaround time. The other thing too is it also helps for integration, because if you have one system and then you want to go buy another system, you're going to have to make sure that those things are integrated together. To some degree, at least they're talking to each other. And that's also going to slow down the transition of starting a AI type voice recognition with this. So it helps on both ends.
Very good. So we got a question in from Christian in the audience. And I think this is probably for Dr. Rizvi. Can I train the AI with any particular statements our radiologists use inside the reports?
Yeah, so maybe he's referring to, or he or she is referring to macros or other things that you might say. And yeah, all the features that are typically used by radiologists, like quick phrases that you say, like macro this, macro that, all of those can still be used in the transcript. And also we can create those macros. You can create them, in our system. You can upload them from other various systems, so they could all be used within our system.
Okay. Another follow-up question from Carl. Can DICOM SR, which I believe is DICOM structured reporting, can DICOM structured reporting data be automatically integrated into the radiology report, especially in specified areas in the report?
Yeah, this is probably one of the coolest things that's coming, which I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek on, which is, if you have structured SR data that's coming through, the cool part about generative AI is you don't need to map those into individual fields. If you have trained the models well enough, and we have at RADPAIR, they could just take them as is, put them into any template, as long as there's a section for it. So maybe you have a section called kidneys, and information from SR is coming for about the left or right kidney or wherever. It's just going to get it put in the right place. You don't even need to do a significant portion of mapping. Now, where the really cool stuff comes in is where we go multimodal, and we start looking at the images and the actual summary image data from ultrasounds and pull that in automatically. And what we call this report caching. So everybody understands the concept of image caching, which is when you open a case in any system, the image is already loaded. You don't have to wait for them to load. Report caching is a similar concept where all of your data elements, whether it's multimodal image classifiers pulling in information, SR data, metadata coming from the system, is already preloaded. So when you open that case, it's all there for you. At which point, if you want to add something, you can. But if it's the case that it's all done, you just hit sign and you're done. So you can already imagine how much time savings that's going to give you once that's, your report's already ready to go.
Yeah, for sure. I got a question here from Luke. So lots of questions on how exactly the solution works. So maybe either Vijay or Dr. Rizvi can tackle this one. Can the integrated RamSoft RADPAIR solution determine the relevant priors a patient has in the RamSoft Patient Explorer and put the dates descriptions of those priors into the comparison section of the report? If not, is that level of integration on the roadmap?
Sure, I can take this one. So yes, this is absolutely the next phase of the integration that is in progress, to be able to, one, capture the prior data automatically so that it doesn't need to be dictated. I mean, conventionally, a radiologist would dictate information from the prior exams that they actually look at, whereas, again, all that could be very easily done automatically. So this is absolutely in progress.
Right. So here's kind of an interesting question. So there's been a lot of discussion of disaster recovery in radiology, and unfortunately there have been some pretty major disasters this year around the world. So we have a question coming in. Over the past year, we've had two entire internet connectivity failures for several hours, unable to run a lot of radiology applications. Is there a capability to still utilize your application when this happens? And this apparently occurred to this person just last week. So top of mind there. So what sort of functions do you have for if you lose connectivity due to a disaster, due to a cyber attack? What happens then?
So sure, I can. Yeah, I would you like to take this one?
No, go ahead, Vijay. You can. I can address only the speech portion of it if it comes.
Sure, exactly. So I could take this one. So normally what we and again, this is just what we recommend is in terms of internet connectivity, et cetera, to be functional, in this day and age, it's always important to have a backup solution and a sort of a downtime procedure for what happens if your normal internet connectivity goes down, right? And so in most cases, the appropriate backup solution today is to use cellular connectivity, right? So just, I mean, as a case in point, most of us have an iPhone or an Android phone with 5G connectivity, right? And again, this is more than sufficient to use in a backup scenario when primary internet connectivity goes down, right? And, so I will say this. I mean, in terms of ensuring that your radiologist can continue to work during an internet outage, there's really a couple of things, right? And one is, this is where having a cloud-based solution is helpful, because the cloud-based solution will continue to run even if you have disruption at one particular site, right? And, in a distributed setup, it actually becomes a lot easier to solve, because, okay, if you have a loss of connectivity at one location, send radiologists back home, send them elsewhere, so there's a lot of variables that you can work with, right? And, and this is where, I would say the resiliency of a cloud solution really has a big impact.
Very good. Dr. Luchs, just a couple thoughts from you on what have you done there with Premier in terms of like disaster recovery, cybersecurity, that kind of thing, like, make sure business continuity, I guess, is what the broader term would be. How important is that to you, and what sort of steps would you advise people to take?
Yeah, no, it's extremely important. And it's similar to what Vijay said, that we happen to use RamSoft. I've been using RamSoft for over a decade, and having the cloud-based PACS, it makes it much easier, where if you do have a sudden turn off of your internet, power surge or what have you, take your phone, make your phone a hotspot, or if you have another hotspot that you might be using, and you just connect right away, and you're up and running. You don't have to turn off, your PACS that we're using on the other computer. You can just switch right to it. It's very simple. Cybersecurity, the same thing. It's extremely important to us. And, we rely on not only our own servers, but also dealing with RamSoft. Having their security is phenomenal.
Right. So we've got a couple more questions on RADPAIR sort of technical issues there. So Dr. Rizvi, are there ways to modify the template, like including a clinical correlation section? Also, if there are sections left empty, does the interpreting radiologist input some verbiage, or can it be finalized?
Yeah, so the templates are completely modifiable. So you can add sections, you can, whatever sections you'd want to add to that, you can add it to it. Now, if it doesn't have existing phrases in those sections, and if it's just completely blank, you'll need to tell the system what you want to put in those areas. But if they actually have existing normalized text, then our systems are smart enough to know that if there's something that contradicts those phrases with something new that you've entered, that will replace that text with the text that's contradicting it. And so hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah. Question from Paolo. Is it possible to use this tool integrated to PowerScribe?
So which you're talking about, RADPAIR?
Yeah.
Yeah. So RADPAIR is a full reporting solution on its own. So it has all the capabilities of any legacy reporting system, plus full generative AI reporting, plus the classification, and like we're discussed in the webinar, agentic AI is coming too. So we see it more sort of a replacement as opposed to an addition to the older legacy reporting system.
Gotcha. And a question from Brad. So with large language models starting to become more popular, how does RADPAIR differentiate itself from some of the other solutions out there that are also using LLMs? Is it on speed? Is it on accuracy? Is it on integration? All of the above. It's starting to get to be a crowded segment. How do you stand out?
Yeah, so we look at ourselves as, I mentioned, trying to change the entire reporting paradigm. So unfortunately, what's happened in reporting for about 2.5 decades is you see these very small small changes that occur, intermittent changes that occur over time, and then they get released, and a lot of broken promises too. You know, I'm a radiologist. Without my RADPAIR hat on, I can speak freely, and I think Dr. Luchs will agree with me. There hasn't been a lot of innovation here. And so what we're trying to say is you have the same UI and UX you've been using with various companies in the space. And even those companies who are now using LLMs are thinking about incremental changes to give you a little bit more improvement in that same path. What we're trying to say is, well, why don't we completely change that paradigm and say, why do we have to do it that way? The ideal way is me communicating like I am with you guys right now, just naturally having something communicate with me. And it would be the ideal goal for RADPAIR if we just disappeared into the background, right?
Right.
The less time you spend looking at a reporting system and the more time you spend on the patient's images, that's the beneficial thing to do. And so the thing that talks back to you, talk back to it, that's the future of radiology. That's where we're headed. That's how we're going to differentiate ourselves. We're just
That was the wingman, correct?
Yeah, that's the wingman. So that's the thing we want. Yeah.
And how far out do you think we are from seeing something like wingman?
You will see it and be able to use it at RSNA. It's not something that, like I said before, it's not something that we're just a gimmick. It's an actual working product. And then as soon as RSNA is over, you can purchase it.
Wow, that's amazing. Cool. So I have a question myself. So it seems like, originally with AI, there was mostly focus on like point solutions, like analyzing images and highlighting a suspicious area. But it seems like a lot of the attention just in the last year has shifted to reporting solutions. Dr. Rizvi, why do you think that is? And then I think I'd like Dr. Luchs and maybe Vijay to tackle that as well. Why is it that reporting is getting so much attention right now?
It's again, back to like what radiologists do every single day. Like we are spending our time looking at images and then switching into the report. It's just a natural thing. And only one of those is actually highly value additive. And the other thing is mostly non-value added, right? Like all of the value is accrued in the report. That is correct. But the actual going in and editing the report itself has no value whatsoever to a radiologist. And so you want to keep your eyes on the images. And I think that's why radiologists are so keen to get rid of this large chunk of non-value added tasks that you have to do every single day. So I think it's just shifted towards that. And, in the past, Pixel AI, when you had like sort of the image classifiers was somewhat useful in the sense that, and they still are, there are some really great image classifiers out there where it helps you speed up your diagnosis by pointing things out. But really, you want to get rid of sort of this non-value added task that you can't get away from that easily as a radiologist. A diagnosis you can make, right? You can look at the screen and make it, but you can't get away from having to actually create this report physically yourself until now with solutions like what we've created with RADPAIR.
Yeah. Dr. Luchs, do you see AI's real value in being more to help you with creating these reports as opposed to analyzing pixels?
I think it's a little bit of both. When we have the AI programs that help you see different things on the images, yeah, it's helpful. It can speed you up a little bit. You're still analyzing the pictures. You're still looking at the pictures. It's not taking anything away from what you're actually doing. And again, as Dr. Rizvi said, it might speed you up a little bit just because it's showing you, oh, look, there's a lung nodule. There's a lung nodule. You still have to look at everything else. You still have to look at all the other findings. Having the generative AI for your reporting, it's exactly what Dr. Rizvi said, just echoing him, that it's taking away the non-value added aspect of your job. It's taking away the non-medical part of your job. It's allowing you to actually just practice radiology. So I think that's why there's really been a really big push for it and a need for it. And once people realized it was out there, they want to really look into it now and say, how can I use this for my practice? It's, as I said before, it will speed you up, but it's also going to, I really think, improve your accuracy because you're spending less time doing something that's not actively helping the patient.
Yeah. Do you think that if you're saving time on reporting, where do you think that those time savings will go? Will the radiologist spend more time, analyzing the image? Will they actually maybe, spend more time with patient consultations? Where do you think that time would go?
I think it's just going to wind up going into the things that we do every day, whether it be looking at more patients, more imaging studies per day, maybe looking at that study in a little more detail, or, as you said, potentially speaking to referring doctors a little bit more. But I think it's going to wind up going towards more patient care than towards secretarial care, which is what we do when we're, putting together a report.
Yeah, that's actually a great term. I may use that in my next edition of the Imaging Wire. Vijay, how about you? AI for pixel analysis versus reporting, which one do you think is more important to radiologists?
So I don't think it's really
Is that an either or?
appropriate to say, do we need one or the other, right? I mean, the reality is we actually need both to address two things. I mean, one, address the shortage of radiologists, right? Because, as we kind of all know now, it was predicted more than 10 years ago that radiologists would not be necessary anymore, right? And well, that prediction was wrong, fortunately for us, right? Our industry is still alive and well, and we very much require radiologists today in healthcare, right? So, when we sort of look at it, we actually need both, and they both tackle different considerations in different areas, right? Because it's to aid the radiologist to diagnose certain conditions that might not be obvious to diagnose from just looking at the images. The pixel AI is very helpful, right? And then to create reports faster, the reporting AI is very helpful, right? So look, we're not in a world where you need to choose one or the other, right? Why not have both?
You can have taste great and less filling, right? If you remember those.
Yes.
We're starting to wrap up. So we did get a couple technical questions about RADPAIR. If I could just kind of fire those at Dr. Rizvi. Someone says, great RADPAIR, it's impressive. Does it require FDA approval or clearance for adopting in the teleradiology business?
No, it does not. I know there's a lot of talk at the FDA about more regulations coming towards LLMs for everything. But for now, RADPAIR does not require FDA.
Okay. Any studies that have quantified the improvements in turnaround time or report output metrics? Probably still early days for that kind of thing, right?
Early days, although we are working with a university right now to come up with a white paper. Maybe we'll have some preliminary data for you at RSNA.
Okay, very good. And any plans to have this in the UK? In the UK, they're reporting radiographers. Is this available in the UK? Does it have the potential to expand the scope of practice for radiographers? So radiographers in the UK do read images, unlike in the US, and maybe free up time for them.
Yes, we have channel partners that are international that you can come see us. We're going to be at RSNA, and it's probably a good time to say our booth is 49 to 18 in the AI section. Come talk to us. We can, talk to you about some of our partners in that region.
All right, very good. So that kind of reminds me that RSNA is coming up in just a couple of weeks. So Dr. Rizvi, you mentioned where people can stop by and see you. Dr. Luchs, I understand Premier Radiology will also have a booth at RSNA?
Yep, we'll be there. We'll be at Recruiters Row, South Hall, booth 1139. Hope to see you.
And Vijay, how about you guys? If people want to see RamSoft, where can they go?
Yes, absolutely. We'll be in the North Hall, 6513. We'll be happy to see you there. And we also have channel partners in different regions of the world, and we'll be happy to meet people from anywhere.
All right, very good. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for being on today. It really was a fascinating discussion. Really enjoyed hearing about all this new technology. And and one thing, Dr. Rizvi, you have some news to share, right?
Oh, yes. Talking about the Out Mini stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we just found out just a little while ago that we won Best New Vendor of the Year for 2024 at Out Mini. So just very happy and proud of our team, and it's all because of our partnerships with folks like RamSoft and then Premier and others that have made that possible. So thank you everyone for the recognition and the validation of what we're doing. We really built this product for radiologists, and so we're quite happy that that the industry's recognized.
All right. Well, congratulations. It's very impressive. So I'd like to thank Dr. Jonathan Luchs of Premier Radiology Services, Vijay Ramanathan of RamSoft, and Dr. Avez Rizvi of RADPAIR. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us today.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
All right. And especially would like to thank all of our attendees out there. This was the first Imaging Wire webinar, and we're really pleased to see such a great turnout to everybody. So thank you all out there. Hopefully you'll be able to swing by at RS today and see some of the great technology that we talked about today. Signing off for the Imaging Wire, my name is Brian Casey.